If you think about the big brands, especially the ones working in the chronic diseases, their main competitor is not the other products from another pharmaceutical company. It's the patient sticking to the treatment. And this is actually, I think this is the center of the industry. The first part is the dropout of the therapy. This is a huge gap. And this is actually a good opportunity. If this gap is fixed, the multiplication of the units sold for the pharmaceutical companies would be huge. The second gap is the time consumed in communication between the HCP and the patients. The HCP times are very precious. And let me tackle the third point that I see as a weakness in the pharmaceutical companies, that we don't know what happens after the therapy. I don't see Elfie as just product or just an app. It's exactly like the innovation of a new medication, but a new medication that works in synergy with all the existing healthcare ecosystem. Just analyzing this data would give you the real-world evidence that it's up to date, and it's covering millions of aspects. Analyzing all these, I would say, metadata would give you a different result than just the old traditional clinical trials. So I think having access to the data is the future treasure.
Welcome to Elfie Voices, Rethinking Health. I'm Grace McNamara, and alongside Ophir Regis and Jean-François Legault, we host conversations and guests connecting the ecosystem of health. We talk business and technologies, we explore opportunities and challenges. Welcome to the conversation. Hello, welcome, Mohamed El-Zayat. It is a pleasure. Welcome to the Elfie team. I know it's been a few weeks. So a few weeks, you're just starting to settle in. I'm so delighted to be able to connect today. And you've had a phenomenal background, really exciting career that you've had. So we'll start off first, kind of walk us through what has been your career to date. And then we'll figure out why you moved over from all of that exciting work into also a very exciting space with Elfie. So over to you. Walk us through the background.
Thank you, Grace, for the warm welcome. I'm so excited. Let me start from the last point, which is my start with Elfie. I'm so excited to start with Elfie as a country manager for Egypt and Middle East. I can see a lot of opportunities to improve healthcare in the regions. And I think Elfie is doing an amazing job globally to improve healthcare. Getting back to my background, I have a solid 22 years experience in pharmaceuticals, in diversified in different areas. I worked as sales in the fundamental stage of my career for 4 years in one of the big shots in the pharmaceutical field, which is Pfizer. I moved later to more strategic roles where I went to the brand management and the marketing in different therapy areas and different regions. I worked locally for Egypt, then I moved to the region of North Africa, Middle East, and finally I was assigned to the global team. I managed different therapy areas where I started my career in the marketing was, the consumer healthcare, moved later to many complicated other areas up to the oncology. And the most of my career were with the chronic diseases, which is where the majority of the people need help there. And just before I joined Elfie, I moved from the marketing for the last 1.5 years or 2 years of my career to the patient access, where we ensure to have the products access to the patients, whether for the affordability or for the education parts is granted to help more and more patients. So that's all about me.
Really exciting. And if you're name dropping there in the background of your CV, it's phenomenal, right? Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Merck, it's really, really powerful. So yeah, welcome to the team. So what can you tell us and share about your current role then with Elfie, which is also exciting working with our pharma partners? I know some of it you can't share, but what can you share? What's going to be the most exciting aspects of it in the next few months?
Yeah. The most exciting is we're working with our partners to improve the health of the populations. So we're working on educating patients with different tools, whether inside the app or with some activities on the ground. We have other parts, which is if you look at the Elfie app, you'll find the pill box, which is an amazing feature that reminds the patients to take the medication. If you think about the big brands, especially the ones working in the chronic diseases, their main competitor is not the other products from another pharmaceutical company. It's the patient sticking to the treatment. And this is actually, I think this is the center of the industry because the patients need to take the medication to get in a good health. The pharmaceuticals, they stay on the therapy would generate more steady income and growth, even more than hitting other competitors. And for the insurance, when the patient's getting good health, the insurance costs and expenses just go lower. So I think this is the center of the industry. And this is why I don't see Elfie as just product or just an app. It's exactly like the innovation of a new medication, but a new medication that works in synergy with all the existing healthcare ecosystem. So it's just changing the system. It's advancing the system. You're doing a synergy with the current medications, current practices, doctor systems, nurses system, hospital systems, insurance system, everything. So it's just an add-on that achieves a synergy. So I think this is what I'm doing now.
It's really exciting. And this is the beauty, I think, of working in a company like Elfie. We're trying to pull together. I mean, I spent most of my career in the lifestyle medicine space, right? And, a lot of people in lifestyle medicine space are patients that have chronic diseases, some aren't, some are on medications, and so on. So, I mean, the beauty of this is that as human beings, a lot of us are on supplements or medications or creams. You need to remember if it's for skin health, which we just released, or if it's for hormones, the like joys of women's health. I think the beauty of the pharma industry is I think sometimes it obviously has a bad rep, but we don't appreciate how this all ties into just our lives, regardless of where you are on the health spectrum. And yeah, the beauty for the simplicity of the pill box of reminders. And I know, like my mother, for example, I use Elfie with her to remind her like what she taken, when she taken it, what's with food, what's with water. It can be complicated, and as you get more and more conditions, and obviously with age you end up typically getting more conditions, typically end up getting more medications, and yeah, it definitely adds to the complexity. But keeping it as simple as possible works quite well. And this is some of the beauty, I think, of like with your background. We obviously come from very different backgrounds, but yet the ultimate purpose here is how do we help people to access what they need to access, understand what they need to access, why they need to access, what's the benefit, and how this all impacts, multiple millions of populations ultimately around the world, in the world. So yeah, we're in completely different parts of the world today. And it's exciting. It's a really exciting space. So question for you then, as you look at the next 6, 12, 18 months, right? And the work that we're working on and you're working on with publications and research and so on, what can you share, or what snippets can you share with the audience? That's going to be exciting. And obviously a lot of our audience are pharmaceutical executives or insurance executives. What can you give them a little bit of a hint of what's to come, whether it's research or so on?
I think the most significant in the next period, from what I can share, is the launch of Elfie Care, which I think would be a huge cutting edge technology that would change the practice of the total healthcare, where physicians can talk to each other, learn from each other, introducing the AI to their research so they can get the summary of everything they want to see in just a few moments, where they can attend the CMEs on the app, many things. I think this would help the healthcare professionals to minimize the time wasted. So while having the patient history while they're waiting in the clinics, they can talk with the HCPs can talk with their peers. They can have some educational programs on the application. And the other thing is, if you're working on hypertension and you want to see some latest guidelines, you just talk to the AI. He gets to the guidelines, gets you comparisons between the medications, gets you comparisons between the outcome. If for a specific patient you have some other concerns like other disease burden that may impact their hypertension, you can see the correlation. I think this would be a breakthrough in the healthcare. So I think this would be the most significant launch. I think in the coming 10 years in the industry.
It is amazing. And I know that we've released some of the experience of what that's going to look like. And we're going to be releasing more over the next few weeks to give people an indication of where its strategy goes. And obviously Elfie works very well in partnership with clinicians. So a lot of, feedback and in parallel working going on there. I think you're absolutely right. It's a game changer. And we've just talked about recently as well, and releasing likewise, how does that Elfie Care interact with WhatsApp? So making it even easier for people to communicate with their clinical team, whether that's sharing data or asking questions or appointment rescheduling. Just that level of ease becomes a whole nother layer, which really, really helps people to, I think, to achieve it. So you're right. I'm really excited about it. And the beauty of this as well is not just, we work with Pharma, which is where your background comes from, but we work with the ministries of health in many countries as well. Because this is part of the challenge I think every Ministry of Health has, is how do you make sure the large populations of people get access to what they need, understand what they need, and can access the programs and solutions, whether it's self-funded or whether it's government funded or whether it's through your employer or insurer or whatever. So bringing all that together, and obviously, as we've talked about before, this is where Elfie comes in really well, right? It's connecting all of these players in the system and in the way that the data can flow in the right direction with consent and so on. So it's phenomenally
I
complex, but
agree,
yet becoming
Grace.
simplified.
I agree, Grace, so much, and I think it's that Elfie is the new ecosystem for the pharma. So that's why it should be integrated in the governmental sector, in the insurance sector, in the pharma sector, in the HCP's mindset, in the pharmacists. I'm sure there would be plans in the future to how to integrate the pharmacist in the Elfie ecosystem. So it's a whole new ecosystem that would change everything to the better because
Yeah.
it tackles the real gaps in the industry.
And you're absolutely right. You connected with the pharmacists and the pharmacies in some countries like Vietnam recently as well, and we've done it in Brazil. So you're absolutely right. It's connecting those different players into one system, making it much, much easier. Because as you talked about before, the end user like ourselves, we don't really care the breakdown of fragmentation. We just need our lives to get easier and for everything to be connected. It's really, really interesting and an exciting time. Question for you in relation to clinical trials and pharma and all of the new innovations that pharma are working on in many different spaces. And thankfully, we've got some insight into many of our partners and what they're working on. What do you think where we're going on clinical trials, on how does Elfie lean in and support clinical trials and more research, knowing that we constantly are working on real world evidence, but the opportunity is expanding quite nicely. Can you share what's your thoughts on the world?
Yeah, I think having a large quantity of population in the application where the majority are chronic disease patients. These patients, while putting their inputs, we have lots of insights. Just analyzing this data would give you a real world evidence that it's up to date and it's covering millions of aspects because we go when I use the app, I just put my blood pressure, I put my glucose level, I put my eating habits, I put my drinking habits. I just input everything, even the steps. It just integrates with your smartwatch and gets about knowledge about your activity. So analyzing all these, I would say, metadata would give you a different result than just the old traditional clinical trials. So I think having access to the data is the future treasure. So having this treasure in hand with some good analysis would give you an amazing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The speed and the efficiency and the quality then of clinical trials likewise leapfrogs forward. And I'm delighted. This is for the first time ever. I've got my lab results alongside my wearable data, alongside my self-reported data in one place. And obviously with the AI, we're able to, way better to able to understand it and leverage research. And obviously as a woman that's used to research, we have an awful long way for us to be better represented in lots of more clinical trials. I'm delighted that Elfie is going to be part of that solution in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, knowing that a lot of pharma clinical trials do take 20 years to get from
Yeah.
ideation to markets. Longitudinal data, quality and robust. It's the treasure. I completely agree with you. What's your thoughts on where, obviously Egypt, but also other markets? Is there other thoughts or questions or problems that you see pharma executives would be thinking of, or insurance executives, or the ministries of government, for example, where you think Elfie kind of fits or is going to be having in conversation with in the next months or years?
Yeah, let me uh, from my work with Elfie and from the background experience as a strategist in the pharmaceutical companies, I see that for the majority of the therapy areas, we have like three main competitors that are not other products. The first part is the dropout of the therapy. When you go analyze the trends and you see like very chronic medications and you find that with the market research that it's taken for if the patients use that for 2 or 3 months and then drops the medication, this is a huge gap. And this is actually a good opportunity. If this gap is fixed, the multiplication of the units sold for the pharmaceutical companies would be huge rather than getting another prescription for another 2 months. So if the patient stays, this is amazing. So I think this is the first gap. The second gap is the time consumed in communication between the HCP and the patients. The HCP times are very precious. They don't have time to talk a lot with the patients, understand the history, then explain the disease area, give him some other than the medication advice, the prescription, the lifestyle advices, and many things. They don't have this time. Putting Elfie in this equation, Elfie can help the patients to put the history inside the clinic before getting to the doctors, put the history after the visit. So on the follow-up visit, he can see what is happening in the 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks interval between the two visits. So this is for getting the history. Going to the other side, to the patient education, you can see hundreds of articles on Elfie tackling different therapy areas. So if I'm a hypertension patient, I can see many articles that educates me about the hypertension. If you go to the food and water sections, the hydration and the nutrition section, the AI would give you instant advice. Just watch out of the salt for the blood pressure. Don't eat a lot of bananas if you have a kidney disease. So it gives you an advice to improve your lifestyle. So it just helps the doctor to get the control to the patients. And let me reflect on that for the other party, which is the insurance. The insurance are the biggest winners from that because they will have lower complications and lower costs. So I think all the dots are connected here. And let me tackle the third point that I see as a weakness in the pharmaceutical companies, that we don't know what happens after the therapy. When a doctor prescribes the medications, I think this is the end of the cycle of promotion. After that, we just have few insights when we do some market research or if a patient's report the side effects, but we don't know actually what happens. Going to the applications where the patients put everything, you can exactly know what's happening with each and every medication, even on a comparative level or on side effect level or in compliance levels. You can see everything. So I think knowing that would improve what we think about during building our strategies. So I think if any executive looks about their stay on therapy, they shall think about Elfie. It's the new patient support program model that can expand and reach millions of patients rather than the traditional ways. If you want to save the time for the doctors, give them more efficient communications with the patients, then their medications get better results and the patients get more improved, you should think about Elfie. And if you want to get some insights to improve everything, I think it's Elfie.
Yeah, you mentioned there the patient support programs, and like currently they're completely separate applications. And I think we talked about before on the podcast that the average pharma has 65 different apps. And not only is it costly, it's obviously hard to combine all that data. And obviously, as a person who wants to participate in research, there's no way I'm going to be downloading a load of different applications for participating in loads of different research. Yeah, it absolutely centralizes and makes it, again, more powerful, more centralized, cheaper as well, obviously for the business to implement, but much more powerful. Yeah, love it. What have we not shared, Mohamed? As you say, like, there's so much in Elfie, and I appreciate every time we have a podcast, we end up adding more features and kind of emphasizing that there's these tools already exist, whether it's integration with labs, whether it's surveys that are also embedded within it, whether it's patient support programs. What else do you think? I appreciate that you're coming from new into Elfie, you've got fresh eyes. So what else do you think we should be mentioning and making sure that people and executives in the world are aware of?
I think one of the basic things about Elfie is the concept. How does Elfie keeps the patients without droppings or the users without dropping? The concept of gamification that they get inside the app, put their inputs, get some coins, get some rewards in return, and this is actually a concept that is amazing. to keep the stay on therapy. There is always good work in Elfie on building reward system. I mean, in Egypt, I'm trying to work to make it more and more relevant by going to get free devices for the patients in need for hypertension or continuous glucose monitoring, getting some discounts with the biggest lab in Egypt, so the patients, when they do their follow-up. So we're trying to connect with what makes the patient's life better and keeps the patient motivated, because if they drop their medication, they may drop Elfie as well. So we need to make sure that these people do not drop Elfie. So this is what's new in the app itself. Every day there are new features. I see that you can use the AI to analyze your skin. You can use the AI to get you a meals plan. Every day there are new features. It's never ending. The development team is doing an amazing job. So yesterday I was with some friends that are young and actually they don't have any chronic diseases, and I was surprised they're using Elfie. So I said, guys, why are you using that? Then they said an amazing thing. They do their meals plan at the beginning of the week and take this meals plan to the supermarket, do their shopping, and prepare their meals per week. And actually, one of the my friends, she said, I lost 3 kilograms of my weight, and I'm achieving like 30% of my target in the first 2 weeks. Okay, I said, are you following up with anyone? She said, just Elfie. Elfie is becoming my friend now. This is how the users see us.
Yeah.
So it's very friendly. It's very close to you, and you're talking with the app each and every time you want. You don't need to book an appointment to do anything. So it's supporting you.
I love it. And you're absolutely right. JF and the product team are just cranking through improvements and new programs and new features. It is, I don't know how they keep up, to be honest. And I know that every time we have an idea, we're popping into Slack, and next thing you know, there's a PRD and there's somebody working on it. So they're powerful. They're absolutely powerful. And you're right. I mean, I don't have any chronic diseases either. I'm loving the mental health AI journaling. I love the reflection on an evening, quick one, and kind of whistle stop before I head into my sleep routine. So yeah, I completely agree with you. It fits for people across the spectrum of health, regardless of condition, and it can be 24/7 support. And I think the beauty of the AI then, as you said, it's leveraging my personal data to give me my personal insights. And yeah, it helps. It really, really helps, because we're all different, and every single one of us has different nuances and family history and diseases and supplements and activity and lifestyle. Yeah, it's personal and it's great. Love it. Well, Mohamed, thank you so much. It is a pleasure to connect, and appreciate we're going to meet in person really soon, fingers crossed. Welcome to the Elfie team. And again, thank you. And I look forward to working with you, and we'll come back on here in the next 26 months. No doubt there'll be either more research, more published research to work on, or more features to talk about. But it's a pleasure. And again, welcome to the team. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Grace. Pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Elfie Voices Rethinking Health. We invite you to connect, share, and subscribe. Until next week, stay curious, stay Elfie.